Right now it is July 20th. At this very moment, San Diego Comic-Con is happening and I'm not there. And I am really sad about that. Just suffering my life's choices and taking it one day at a time, But my buddy, partner, writer, Jim Oosley is out there promoting our products and running the Red 5 booth and talking about Butcher Queen and Atonement Bell and just doing the Lord's work out there. Guy's really kicking ass. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but we got nominated for an Eisner Award for this book. So not only am I not at Comic-Con, but I'm not at the awards show either. But I figured I would take this time to tell you guys about Comic-Con in general. What a convention is, if you've never been to one. What the big show is like. Comic-Con is like what some consider to be the Mecca. You know what I mean? It's the big deal. It's the big show. So over the next few minutes or so, I'm just going to sort of give you a rundown and what it's all about and what you may or may not be missing and what I'm missing. And then, a little bit, since kind of what I want to do on this channel is tell people about how they can get into some kind of industry, whether it be comics or entertainment or something, and what the show means to you in that regard, right? So, first time I went was maybe 10, 11 years ago. I went and took some classes in San Francisco, and then some summer classes, and then went down to live with some friends in LA. And while we were in LA, we were like, let's go to Comic-Con. So, LA is just a few hours north of San Diego, so we got in the truck and went down and checked it out. And then every year since, I've kind of gone on professional credentials, whether I've been published with Ink and Drink Comics or Zenoscope or, all these independent people over the years. I've always gotten in for free because I've been a working professional for so long. And so I've been, 5 or 6 different times. And then I've gone to conventions all over the country working for myself or promoting somebody else's product or things like that. Okay, so Comic-Con is the big show. Robert Downey Jr. might be running around on the floor with a mask on. You never know. You'll see a lot of creators. I ran into Cliff Bleszinski one year, scared the absolute shit out of him when I went, "Yo, Cliff!" And him and all his, I think he had some security with him. They all turned around. And I just, real sheepishly ran up to him and was like, "Oh, man, I'm just a big fan. I want to shake your hand." And he's like, "Oh, right on, right on." I think I scared the shit out of him. I ran into Todd McFarlane, and you get to meet a lot of your professional, your industry comics, super creators. Todd McFarlane, I got to meet Sean Murphy, Daniel Warren Johnson, Dustin Wen, and then the list goes on, man. Scotty Young, you just meet everybody that I don't have anything on my walls anymore, but I used to have all my art on the walls, and I've met just almost all of those people. It's really great. So besides that, San Diego Comic-Con gets you that. But besides that, conventions are kind of a flea market. especially a local con. If you're in Kansas City or Missouri or Tennessee or something like that. The Chicago show is a great show. But if you're in the Midwest or any other small town in America, you're going to get these conventions to just take anybody and everybody on the show floor. So it's comically, St. Louis would have these roofing companies have a spot on the floor, or they would sell gutters or something, right? There used to be a fitness company, Orange Fitness used to have a booth in St. Louis. You'd get a lot of knockoff lightsabers. You get a lot of T-shirts, and you just get, they're trying to fill the show floor and make some money. And I don't think St. Louis did a very good job of that because they're not around this year, which is pretty nuts. So it takes the independent people, like the guy who does, or company that does Anime STL. He does a convention, I think, out in St. Charles. I heard it's pretty good. So it takes, it's funny to think St. Louis is a smaller town now because Fan Expo isn't putting a show out here this year. Anyway, that's a different conversation. But anyway, the reason I call it a flea market is because you pay to get in, and sometimes you pay a lot, and you have to pay to park, and if you're traveling from out of town, you got to pay to sleep there, if you get a hotel. And then once you get in, you can go to panels, and those are free, and those are like how to get into comics, or here's the cast of Star Wars Rebels, or here's a panel about why anime is better than American cartoons or something. There's just infinite variations of panels, and about some things are very useful and some things are just fun. The biggest draw is all the stuff that's for sale. I would say that half the show floor is merchandise in your typical convention, right? Half the show is merchandise and the other half is what they call Artist Alley. I'll talk about that in a second, but the merchandise, like I said, is lightsabers or swords or just general tchotchkes and stuff like that. Lots of t-shirts. When you go to the big show, it's all that, but like times 1,000. It's just some of the coolest shit you've ever seen. You know, $1,000 statues of Iron Man, and they have whole booths dedicated to Legos, Gundams, and things like that. And you know, Xbox and Nintendo were there, so it's a much bigger deal. But your local shows are just kind of a flea market of general stuff. Now, depending on the show you go to, like I said, half the show floor is going to be Artist Alley, and that's where you see people like me and people of all walks of life and all levels of their career trying to sell either their prints, which are usually big copyright infringements. That's again another whole other video perhaps. Maybe there will be a part 2 of this, because every topic I have has a whole divergence. Selling your own things is going to be tough, I'll briefly say, because people are looking for Batman and Spider-Man, and if you're out there selling Butcher Queen or whatever, people are like, I don't know what that is, and they keep walking, you know. So you're taking the hard path by trying to sell an original character. Smaller shows like Anime STL and stuff like that, people are more open to absorbing new things. I think anime people in general are looking for the next greatest thing. I think us filthy Westerners are always like, I just want this, and I'm here for this, and that only. I came here, I paid $150 to meet Henry Cavill. I have $20 extra to buy a little tchotchke, and then I'm out the door, right? So Artist Alley, though, is kind of, I think, where Comic-Con is its most beautiful. It's really the heart of it all. It's a bunch of creatives trying to do the creative thing and put their product out there and get somebody to take their book home. And surely I've met some amazing people who are really nice, who just want to show off their stuff. And I found some new artists that way too, and some new products and some books that I got to bring home and read and stuff like that. It's very cool. C2E2 classically is one of the better shows I've been to, because honestly half their show is Artist Alley, and it's beautiful. There's just creative energy everywhere. It's great. Every other show, it's going to be less than 50%. It's going to be 30%, 25%. Artist Alley is just like kind of like a single run down one lane, and you have two sides of that lane, and once you're done, right? So the big show, that's why we're here, right? We're already 8 minutes in. The big show, Comic-Con, is a quarter mile long. It's huge. Hundreds of thousands of people go there. Tickets sell out in less than an hour. Hotels are like $300 to $500 a night if you want to stay downtown. It's an absolute crazy, like Futurama, Ready Player One's costume everywhere shit show. It's really freaking cool. But ultimately, it is kind of a big flea market. Like, you're going to spend hundreds to thousands to get there and be there, and then you're going to spend hundreds to thousands on the floor packing a duffel bag full of stuff you're buying off the floor. I mean, you can go and spend no money, and it is a lot to look at, and it's people watching. It's just great, right? But it's a very expensive shopping mall. Let's say it that way. I say flea market's a bit derogatory, but it's a shopping mall. And imagine if you went to your local shopping mall and they charged you to get in. That's what this is. You're flying across the country to go to the nerdiest shopping mall in the world, and you might run into, Todd McFarlane walking from one booth to the next or something like that. If you don't know who that is, no shame. I'm old. He's the guy that created Spawn. Okay. And anyway, so it's an interesting place. I would almost say I've taken a lot of first timers to there, and they go, "Oh wow, it's crazy." But we honestly had more fun walking around town, hanging out at the Airbnb, just being buds. Walking the show floor is pretty cool. You do see a lot of cool stuff, but it is a big shopping mall, and that's really all Comic-Con is from a consumer side, right? Now, from the professional side, and I've got some time, let me dish on this for a minute. From the professional side, that's how I've really kind of gotten anything in life, is going to a show, to be honest. I've gotten a few sweet short gigs off of networking, off the internet, off of Twitter or whatever. But for the most part, it's going to any convention, but namely the big show, San Diego Comic-Con. I got my first gig at Xenoscope by meeting them there. And then ultimately, when we talked to Red 5, I showed them our Kickstarter, The Dead Palace. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to work with you guys." And over like 6 months of negotiations, we kicked off Butcher Queen. And now Jim is still working with them, and we've got an Eisner nomination thanks to Jim and Tyler B. Ruff, his artist. And every time I've gone and take a big step in my career, it's probably thanks to San Diego Comic-Con. But it's difficult. You really have to be an extrovert. You have to go, and this is the big tip. I tell people this, put a pitch package together, a little book or something. It'd be nice if it was printed and stapled and it looked like a little mini handout or something. Don't show up with they have portfolio review, and sometimes people will let you show them your big 11x17 portfolio, and sometimes people will give you time. But a lot of times, time is money. They just want you to hand something over. So if it's just networking, bring a stack of books and hand them out. And go to a booth, a publisher. You got Dynamite, you got Aspen, you've got, gosh, there's so many these days. I can't even think of them all, but, Boom, IDW, Marvel and DC won't talk to you, so don't try that. More on that later, maybe more on a part 2. But you go to a booth and you say, can I talk to an editor? And if they've got one, then it's going to take a lot of standing around. It's a lot of waiting. A lot of them saying, well, yeah, come back. I'm busy. Can you come back in an hour or something like that? And it's just that all weekend. And you bounce from place to place until someone looks at your stuff, tears apart your anatomy, tells you your style's not right for their imprint, or you take their card and they say, keep me updated. Or they take your book and they say, we'll be in touch or something like that. Like it's pretty rare, obviously, for them to say yes. Obviously, the life of an artist is all about rejection. So get used to that. If you can save the money, plan ahead, and get out there, it is a good way to network. But you do have to be an extrovert, and you do have to reach out and talk to people and say, hey, I'm an artist. I'm from St. Louis. I'm looking to get some work. Can you look at my portfolio? Maybe give me a portfolio review. And you can do that down Artist Alley as well. You can go talk to artists, and if they're not swamped or currently drawing something or have a line of people or they're doing autographs, you can ask them like, hey, I'm trying to get some tips. Do you mind looking at my portfolio? And the nicer people in the industry, which is most people, will yes, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't bank on that getting you anywhere. You have to have a pretty good rapport with somebody for them to want to work with you. And that takes a long time. And a lot of times it means seeing them multiple years in a row, which just hit me in the heart. Again, I really needed to see these people. It means seeing them again, like, oh, hey, Ben, good to see you again. What's new? Like last year was huge for me. I was there for Five Nights at Freddy's. I was there for Gen Zeros, and I was there for, I guess Atonement Bell was that year as well. I don't remember. I think it was a Red 5. I was there for Red 5 as well. So I had 3 books at the show floor at one time. It would have been really good to go back, but whatever. So yeah, it's a great, beautiful, big show with lots of cool stuff. Oh, the one last thing I'll mention before I leave is people like to poo-poo on it and say like, oh, you got taken over by Hollywood and it's all just, blah, blah these days. A lot of negativity out there. The internet's mostly negativity. And for a while, maybe that was true. But the last few years I've been there, man, like it looked like half the floor was people like me that had a booth and a big, beautiful display, either selling original artwork or original products and books and stuff. It was beautiful. Sure, there's a 300-foot troll from Lord of the Rings because that's popular at the time. Not 300 foot, 100 foot anyway, right? It's a big place. There's Gundams everywhere and Legos and Naruto and Naruto, if you will. And there's like the big popular stuff everywhere. But if you look, Artist Alley is pretty big, and then there's an indie like small press X section that's also very big. And if you're there to find new stuff, it's there, man. You just got to look for it. And you don't have to look very hard. It's everywhere. It's great. So it's this cool mixture of like, oh, this is the biggest things that are happening right now. Funko Pops everywhere, right? But also there's people like me that have a booth that desperately want somebody to step away from Spider-Man for once and try something new, right? So yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to share some pictures and some videos and some experiences and how it's worked for me and how it's not working for me right now because I'm not there. I'm so sad. I'm not happy. But that's it, guys. More videos coming soon. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.